All right, today on episode 10-0 of No Putts Given, we've got Sam losing a bet to Harry. Got to play some infomercial clubs. We're going to continue the conversation on CBD since there was such an incredible response to that. We're going to talk Xander Schauffele and non-conforming drivers, get into some details there. Harry Arnett leaves Callaway. Mark King, the ex-CEO of TaylorMade, goes to Yo Quiero Taco Bell. And some more Find It, Cut It. Let's get it.
Do you remember the Chihuahua from Taco Bell?
What kind of question is that?
So,
Yes.
so when
I had the
those
stuffed
commercials were
animal.
popular, I had Chihuahuas when they were popular. So people would always come up to me and be like, "Yo quiero Taco Bell."
Wait.
I had the stuffed animal.
I didn't
And
grow
you
up
could
in this country.
squeeze it.
What is this?
So there was like a Taco Bell had a series of commercials with Chihuahuas that said "Yo quiero Taco Bell," and that was the whole fucking.
That was
thing.
it?
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'd be walking my dogs down the street, and people would just come up to me like, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," and every
And you're like,
every one of
yeah.
them would say it like they were the first one to ever think of it. Like they were just so super proud of themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, I had a stuffed animal you could squeeze, and it'd be like, Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Man, that's great.
And
Loved
this comes with the meal.
I don't
It
know
did,
where
yeah,
I
they were
got
like
it.
it was like sort of like Taco Bell Happy Meal stuff.
Yeah.
Like you got stuffed
Oh,
Chihuahuas.
yeah.
If
There
you
was
buy
like a
enough
series of
tacos.
5 of them. I have them all.
I tell you what,
Actually,
get
somewhere
message-
I have a picture of my like 8-week-old Chihuahua in the middle of these row of stuffed Chihuahuas, and they're all like literally the same size she was.
message King and
Yeah.
say, bring this stuff back because I want a toy.
Oh, I'm sure Marquinhos, he's going to bring a lot back.
Yeah.
I have already been in touch indirectly about the return of the chili cheese burrito. So yeah,
Tony is an avid
Taco.
Avid
I've never had Taco
Taco
Bell.
Bellaholic.
Never had Taco
Never had
Bell.
Taco Bell?
I don't.
No,
I
I don't want to get
honestly-
diabetes.
Don't.
times a
Just
year.
don't. It's not that good, dude. It's not
Yeah,
worth it.
it's
All right,
All
so
right.
then I guess we're not going to start with the bet you lost, and we're going to start with Mark King, okay? So for
God.
everybody out there that does not remember, these guys included, Mark King was the king of the golf industry. So he was who brought one of the people that helped bring TaylorMade from being a $300 million company to, what was it, Tony? It was probably about where Callaway is now, 1.4, 1.7,
I believe 1.8.
1.8.
Was he the one that
Yeah, it
flooded
was
the market with
almost
drivers?
2 billion.
Yeah, so there was a business plan. Really cool story on mygolfspy we did years ago. John Barber wrote on how it happened. Salomon used to own them. They had this business model. Part of it was the life cycle of drivers, and they executed that, flawlessly, right? And got to where they were. And Tony, what was the craziest thing when they had 52% market share in the woods?
It was like, yeah, it was ballpark. I want to say like 51.4 or 52.4 metalwood. So yeah, it was crazy. There was a time when more than half the drivers or half the metalwoods, I believe it was a metalwoods number. So half the metalwoods being sold, more than half were TaylorMades. So
And-
just insane. And
That's-
again, that's
that's
a
a
1 month
huge
stat,
difference.
but still.
I played that 07 burner all the way through high school.
He's still playing the rocket balls.
That rocker ball, dude.
Well, that was the one that propelled them to that number.
Yep.
The rocket
original
balls?
Rocket balls.
Well, that rocker balls was a good line.
The best
I
part about
enjoyed
the
it.
rocket balls whole thing was
The name.
No, way better than that.
17.4 yards.
Nope.
Rocker balls.
Tony's haircut.
I heard about this.
Do we have a picture of that?
Oh man, if you don't, we'll have to find it and put that in the edit because Tony, we called bullshit on the 17 more yards, and I still to this day think we won the bet. But since they flew us out there and said, all right, put your money where your mouth is, and if we actually are 17 yards longer, what are you gonna do? So we said we'll cut Tony's hair with the TaylorMade logo in the back. They had a professional hair cutter out there from like the San Diego Chargers, I think. That
The same guy that cut the Chargers' hair, yeah.
I think they were like 14 yards longer, and they used some like old burner against it or something like that to get the extra yards.
It was which model was it? Oh, the 580 fairway wood.
But
Oh,
is
Come on.
this Tony hitting
Well,
the shots?
that's what I played at the time.
Yeah.
So
So that's inconsistency right there because I've seen your swing.
Hey,
That's a tough one.
anyway, Tony got a nice haircut. And anyway, that was a racquetball story. But one cool thing was, Tony and I were talking about it at the time, going back years, they actually thought they could get to 65% market share?
I don't know if they had a number. I just feel like at some point they thought they were going to get to 100.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And that was their downfall because
I was going to say, get too cocky then.
Yeah. And that brings me to Harry Arnett leaving Callaway. So Harry Arnett has been a part of the TaylorMade rise, and people just probably don't remember this, but Callaway is in the same position as TaylorMade was then, $1.7 billion company.
I think it's quite that high, but they're up there.
It's right there.
1 point something billion.
Yeah. So people tend to forget that 7 years ago when Harry came in there, Callaway was a mess. You know, they had Justin Timberlake as their like part
creative
of the company.
Director was his title.
Yeah.
Yeah. So JT was creative director, and things were just not going in the right direction. Harry Chip came over and some other people, and Harry, I don't think anybody would disagree, is a major part of what got them there. What, you know, you have anything, Tony? You have a personal relationship with Harry. What do you have to say on that topic, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, Harry would never take all the credit for sure. He'd certainly be one to distribute it widely, but yeah, for sure. If you look at when he came in, and obviously you have to give some credit to Chip Brewer as the CEO, but when Harry came in, Callaway was kind of a laughing stock for many, and they were kind of, the reputation was kind of the stuffed shirts of the golf industry, and that's pretty wild when you consider that Titleist is right down the road at the time. But since then, I mean, they just kind of transformed the company, completely different vibe. And you look at what's happened, right? So we talked about the number. It's like 1.2, 1.4 billion, something like that. Number one driver, number one fairway wood in the marketplace, number one iron. I believe probably the number one hybrid, the number two ball, the wedge share has climbed to number three, and Odyssey and Cameron, depending on whether you're looking at dollar share or unit share, go back and forth in the putter category. So, I mean, they're at the top or near the top in every club category, ball category. They acquired OGO, Travis Matthew, and Jack Wolfskin, which may or may not be going well. But I mean, just tremendous growth in the time since.
Well,
I think Harry came over there. They're kicking ass. How's that?
Yeah, and I think everybody is looking at them going, how the hell? They all want to be like Callaway. If they might not admit it, but they're all trying to in some way. They've transformed the way golf is marketed to the consumer, and every other brand is just following. They are the leader in that category. I don't think they're the leader in the category of performance. I think they have cut some corners and done it in ways I don't agree with. And I think Harry was a part of that, if I'm being completely honest. Harry is an incredibly talented person, really sharp, really smart, and in great marketer, you know, but at the end of the day, the things we're finding just with the ball and stuff like that it does raise some eyebrows. But Harry, his legacy is set in, you know, concrete and stone, whatever you want to call it, for what he did for Callaway. That's a fact. And so I think his legacy will be what he helped build at Callaway, what he helped change in the golf industry, and Mark King as well. Mark's legacy will, for those that have been in the industry while we were, never forget the rise and fall after he left of TaylorMade.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that we're seeing, you know, Harry's resignation was announced last week. Mark King taking over as CEO of Taco Bell announced yesterday, and it's pretty crazy to see those guys. Like Mark left TaylorMade for Adidas, but was never really far away, and then kind of has been doing the Honma thing for a while. So to see both of those guys leaving the golf industry, and as far as I know, and I think it's reliable information, Harry certainly hinted as much. You know, both of those guys leaving or announcing that they're leaving the golf industry within the span of a few days is pretty wild for sure. You know, I don't think you can kind of overstate or understate, I guess, right? Overstate. There we go. Can't overstate the impact those guys have had on the industry the last several years. And really, Mark going back more than a decade.
It depends.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, they've made a huge impact on the industry. There's no doubt about that. But how they've gone about it, well, how Harry's gone about it could be questionable.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. You know, I don't really like the way TaylorMade or Callaway went about getting to the big number they got to. I think there's, you know, I would have done it differently if I was there, but I'm not there, you know. So, but you can't take it away from them that they
Definitely
have
not, no.
totally changed the way golf is marketed, and you know, both of those guys. So, both of them leaving the golf industry too, right, Tony?
Yeah, I mean it's almost a little sad, like that it happens all at once and you process it, because whether or not you know it or you're conscious of it as a golfer, both of these guys have had a tremendous influence on probably, if not directly what goes into your bag, certainly what is out there in the marketplace for sure for you to choose from.
Yeah.
So
think about that. What you just
significant
said.
departures.
Think about that. What you just said. Think about how many golf bags out there right now are directly influenced by those two people. Still, I mean, Harry's still got rocket balls in his bag. You know, how many people are playing Callaway? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty.
I didn't resign. I didn't resign.
So does that mean we're gonna get like speed injected taco shells now?
I don't know.
Actually, that was one of the jokes for sure. We got a lot of them. My
So-
God.
Tony put up a tweet yesterday, which you can see real quick. Former TaylorMade CEO Mark King stepping down. You were doing a contest, correct, Tony, for best joke?
Yeah, what are we giving away? We have to give away.
Hey, you said
Taco
you were
Bell
giving
gift
away
card.
something.
No, I figured we had something lying around the shop.
Yeah, have you seen what you have in your shop? You can do whatever. Give a box of golf balls.
Yeah,
Once,
we could give away.
nobody wants anything I've touched that's golf related.
All right,
it's
we're
absolutely
gonna give a $50 gift card to Taco Bell. How about that?
That's awesome.
God, I want to win this.
I like it. Yeah, so as you can imagine, lots and lots of jokes that are just sticking twist face in front of Taco Bell items. So twist face tacos, twist face chalupas.
Can we hear some?
There we go. There's I think that was a Joe Luke's, right? The Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Did we have some actual jokes that you can read out?
Oh yeah. So another Joe Luke's. Let's see. Well, hold on. So we also had lots and lots of poop jokes. So many.
All right, let's hear
jokes.
some.
Taco Bell doesn't tear up my stomach like it appears to tear everyone else's stomach up.
Yeah, so
Though I haven't had
Joe
it in
Luke
years,
Joe Luke's also gave us Doritos Loco Ear, and I am Ear was the tagline for the Rocket Ball Stage 2, right? It was Rocket Ballsier.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I'm exceptionally partial to ear jokes. I would have also accepted diarrhea ear as one of our poop jokes. But my favorite, so the winner of, I guess, a $50 Taco Bell gift card, Sean, not PGA, the beef was already non-conforming. That's it. That's your winner. Let's
That's
go
a good
with
one.
that.
Well,
So $50, Sean, coming to you. $50 Taco Bell gift card. Enjoy it.
Yeah, if
Congratulations.
you're listening to this, email me at harry.nodwell@mygolfspy.com and we'll get that to you.
Sounds good. So, all right. So we're gonna move off that and on real quickly to CBD testing. So basically, we asked everybody out there if they would like us to do CBD testing as a buyer's guide, and the response was pretty phenomenal. I mean, I knew it would be somewhat popular. I didn't know how popular it would be, but I think that's because of the amount of confusion.
Massive confusion on the actual topic alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that confusion is deservingly so, because a lot of testing has been done. It's kind of the wild, wild west right now with CBD. CBD, I guess, as an ingredient is expensive. So obviously a lot of people will want to break into that and try to make some money.
Absolutely.
So without much regulation over it, what they have found in testing is that I think, depends on what test you look at, but some of the ones I'm looking at, the ballpark, 75% of the CBD products out there aren't what they say they are. So what that means is pretty scary. Some have more in it than they say. Some have less. Some have totally different ingredients in it.
They've got to have some weird additives in there.
Yep.
And
Some have no CBD in it.
oh, good.
Yep. And not that we are not going to pick a winner for CBD testing. So Harry, has been doing a lot of research on our buyer's guide. We are going to definitively do one, just so everybody knows. It will not be a most wanted type of buyer's guide. It will be an educational buyer's guide because of the confusion. So what do you think you can clear up for them? Just give them some of the things you think you're going to be able to help with here.
I mean, me and our intern Eric, we've researched quite a bit, and we've just found a lot of confusion about what is CBD and what is THC. So the CBD is the oil that's extracted from the actual plant, and the THC is the actual one that is the psychosomatic part of the cannabis.
Well, psychoactive, yeah.
Psychoactive, sorry, yes. So that what gets you high. The CBD does not get you high. But the interesting thing is if you're a sports player or if you're at work and you get drug tested, it is not guaranteed that you will pass a drug test. There is 0.3% of a chance that you can get. So it's never really gonna give you a 100% that you're gonna pass.
So what you're saying is, if I work for a company that drug tests regularly, I probably shouldn't be taking CBD?
Correct. I mean, it's up to you, but there's a slim chance that it will show up on a drug test.
Well, here's the other problem with that. Even if you have a product like based from hemp that you would potentially have a better odds of passing the test from, 75% of the products supposedly out there aren't even putting the right ingredients in there.
Correct.
So it's not... People want to know, okay, does it work? What do I buy, right? And how does this affect my body? So the other thing that I think is interesting is there's different methods of how you ingest it, and there's different onset for each one and different lengths of how long that lasts.
Yeah,
correct?
so there's a lot out there. There's a cream that you can take it something orally. You can inject stuff, which I probably don't advise. Inhalation, and all of these different ways have a different time. So for instance, a cream takes 25 to 45 minutes to actively get into your system, and therefore you can feel the effects. The quickest one is injection, but again, I do not advise that. Its inhalation is 10 to 20 minutes. So there is different times that will have stipulation on how you ingest or take the product.
And what works for you, right? So let's say gummies, for example, take 45 minutes to an hour to basically onset, which means how long it takes you to get the feelings and effects from it. And it lasts, let's say, 6 hours. Some will be faster than that. Some will be slower. So anyway, point being is we're going to do a buyer's guide as an educational based buyer's guide, just to tell you what to look out for, how it works, and what should matter to you.
And what the benefits are and why it could help you in your golf game, but also in life in general.
Yeah. And for right now, what I would say is the most popular, most trusted one that I see in my research is one called Charlotte's Web. Yeah. So for those of you that are looking right now before the buyer's guide and want to try something in between now and when we come out with the guide, that would be one that I think you could at least trust from what I found.
And we got a couple down there as well on the desk that they sent it in. We haven't tested them
we're definitely
such.
Not recommending those.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that there's lots of different companies out there that will send that have products. So just be careful out there.
Yeah.
Looks like you spend a pretty.
That was pretty wild how many companies emailed us right after that to say,
lot.
hey, we can help you guys out. Here's what we have, sort of thing. So
I think there's like 2,000 plus companies out there now that make CBD. There's so many companies.
I think we're going to have to come out with a most wanted CBD.
Create one ourselves?
That was a joke. Anybody can create CBD, I think, right now.
I mean,
it's kind of like a golf ball.
Exactly.
Are we actually going to put CBD in it, or?
Yeah.
In the golf ball?
It's up to us.
CBD golf balls? Tony, what would happen if you cut that open, Harry?
Find it, eat it.
Would it squirt? Find it, eat it?
Find it, eat it.
Oh.
Please don't eat the core of a golf ball.
All right, so we are definitively doing a CBD buyer's guide. So thanks to everyone that's reached out and encouraged it, because it definitely pushed us over the edge to do this for everybody. And next up is every week. It's called Shot of the Truth. And today it's based on non-conforming drivers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So if you have not heard, Xander Schauffele was caught with a non-conforming driver. And it was kind of the talk of last week. And Tony has done a lot of research on this, talked to a lot of people about it, and we've learned a lot of information about it. And I think our purpose of talking about this today is to tell people like, how big of a deal is this? What does it mean? And who's to blame, right? So there were 3 companies, from what I heard, that had illegal drivers that got caught. Out of the 30 players tested, there was 1 Callaway that we know of, I think 1 Ping and 1 TaylorMade. And that was confirmed by Golf Digest. And what does, Tony, can you kind of tell people, how big of a deal is this? Where did this stem from? Just start back from where we were talking about this years ago,
Yeah, so I guess the first thing to understand, right, there are rules that govern how fast the face of a driver can be, and not to at the risk of, or to avoid getting too technical, like, just bottom line is it's 239 microseconds, right? That is the limit, and I think that's where the conversation needs to start, because sort of since that limit was put into place, some things have evolved. Manufacturing has evolved. Lots of things have changed that are allowing manufacturers to stretch that limit into the USGA and RNA's tolerance zone. So the limit is 239. Let's be really, really clear about that.
Tell people what that limit means.
R&D.
Explain what that limit means. 239 is a number, but what does that mean to the average golfer?
So it's a number. It's a value in microseconds. It's basically, to CT test a driver, it gets locked into this pendulum apparatus. So they kind of swing a pendulum into the driver face and measure how long that pendulum stays in contact with the face, right? Because as the driver is kind of flexing, as it flexes away, the pendulum stays in contact, and then when it flexes out, it kicks the pendulum off, I guess is a quick way to visualize that. And so 239 microseconds, that's how long the pendulum is allowed to stay in contact with the driver face. But because everything has tolerances, right? Head manufacturing has a tolerance. The CT machines have a tolerance. The guy doing the measurement, you're going to get different measurements depending on who's doing those measurements. Everything has a tolerance. And so the USGA gives you 18 microseconds of wiggle room that gets us to 257 as your sort of extended limit. But again, the limit is 239. And if everybody designed to 239 tried to keep their drivers close to 239, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't be having this conversation. But because manufacturers are trying to take advantage of that 18 microseconds of wiggle room and push things towards the extended end of the limit, that 257, you get into situations where drivers are showing up non-conforming by accident because of tolerances, because of all that. In addition to the stuff we've heard that, going back a couple of years, was probably intentionally non-conforming on tour.
So what was
a couple of
Xander's
different
at?
things in play, to say the least.
Sanders there's 1 point over.
He was at 258?
Yeah, so
You're joking.
the short answer is yes. As I've heard it, he was well within the limit on Callaway's CT machine. The RNA's machine disagreed. They did some stuff to retest. The RNA's machine still disagreed. And so the driver was
it disagreed
non-conforming, and
it
so
disagreed
again,
higher though, right?
That's
So
what I've heard.
the Callaway took off weights, put lighter weights on it, gave it back to them, and it went up. So who's the blame here? Is it the RNA, or is everyone's different? Everyone has a different machine, and therefore tolerances are
I can
different.
tell you who it's not. It's not the players, and here's why. In my opinion, and if anybody else has an opinion, obviously speak up, because I'm really interested to hear what y'all think on this. But take baseball, right? A guy doesn't take steroids in baseball to hit it 1 foot further. Okay, you take steroids in baseball to go from a guy that hits 0 home runs to hitting 50 home runs, like Brett Boone. You know what I mean? Or what was the guy's name for the Orioles that literally hit like 50 home runs 3 years in a row? You know what I mean? Or Barry Bonds' head going from size 7 1/4 to 10 and having braces. That's what
Xander's head seems to be normal sized.
Yeah. So just think, you take that for a major advantage. The risk for a professional to do something non-conforming, illegal, whatever it is, steroids, non-conforming drivers, is such a risky thing. You've worked your whole life for this, right? If it's going to make you be a pro, and you almost guarantees that by taking steroids or whatever, that's risk reward, right?
sure.
And you're going, that's worth the risk.
Yeah. And
Tony, tell people what the difference is between a 257 driver and a 258 driver, which was what Xander drivers. What does that mean in driver distance?
Inches.
Inches. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the rule of thumb is every 10 CT points is worth about a half a mile of ball speed. So if you can go from 239 to 257, you're going to be pushing 1 mile an hour ball speed, and that's something guys would appreciate. Guys would want to benefit from. If you're going to intentionally cheat, going from 239 to 270, something like that, which would certainly be possible, that's going to get you some real distance. Going from 257 to 258, nobody is going to go out there and actively risk their reputation for
And
nothing.
I agree.
Absolutely
I
nothing.
think it's the RNA's fault, to be honest with you. I think their measuring device, they should have 3. If it fails one, you measure it again, you measure it again.
But the RNA, they're still stuck in
Well-
old-fashioned times. They might have an old-fashioned CT machine.
Well,
But
but again, we've said this, right? Like I said that there are tolerances built into this. So if the USGA and the RNA says the limit is 239, which they're very clear about, and say, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of extra space because of all these things that can vary with manufacturing and measurements, and you come in with a driver that's close to the limit, and you intentionally, and when I say the limit, I mean that 257 number, when you're intentionally bumping as close to that limit as you can possibly get, knowing that tolerances are built into every aspect of this, you can't really blame the RNA when you exceed those tolerances.
Right.
Like
And
if that driver was plus or minus 239 or 242 or even 245, which is the upper limit of what anybody is truly designing for, if you're at 239 to 245, there's nothing that's going to happen in those tolerances that pushes a driver beyond the.
But let me ask you a question.
So,
If I tell you, Tony, you can go to 257, right, as the RNA or whoever, why would the manufacturers and the golfers not try to push that to the limit?
I think that they
well,
would
no,
be.
you,
Like,
you
have to-
absolutely do, but you in doing so, you need to remain cognizant of the fact that that limit is what it is because of the manufacturing tolerances and because of the measuring tolerances and all these. So you
agree
can't
with
push
Tony.
to 255, 254, whatever Xander's was on the Callaway machine, maybe even a little bit less. You can't push it to that number and then go and then complain because you got busted
Then
by
don't have a
the
test if
tolerances
you don't
for
have
you
machines.
existing.
Then don't have a test if you don't have machines that are consistent enough to know what the hell you're playing.
Well, then,
I think it's.
But again, they're saying if that's at 239, it's under the limit on every machine. And so, when you get up 250, the mid 250s, that's when you're really dancing on the line and playing with fire. And everybody who does that knows they're doing it. So you can't be like, hey, we're going to come in the low to mid 250s and then bitch when we get hit with tolerances.
right,
Even if there is a problem with the RNA's machine with a little bit too much wiggle room, if you're closer to where you're supposed to be, it's a non-issue.
To put somebody out there publicly as a cheater, it's just there's too many unknowns in this, how it's tested, why it's tested like this, and the machinery to be doing this the way it is right now.
I think it's really Callaway and the RNA. Callaway probably shouldn't be pulling drivers that are that close to the tolerance limit. The RNA has a responsibility.
But the only thing,
hang on, the RNA has a responsibility to make sure that everybody who participates in this test has, is the RNA saying, hey, we want to make sure you have the right CT tester to make sure that you're not exceeding our limits.
Let me ask you a question based on that. Do you think anyone involved in this knew that was an illegal driver?
No.
Correct. So
But
if you didn't purposely do it and didn't even know it, then no one, how can we fix that problem to where that people know definitively if they're cheating or not?
At the end of the day,
Well,
the rules
that's
are the
the thing,
rules,
though.
and the
So
RNA can't
keep in
just
mind,
let.
Hold
Sorry,
on.
go ahead.
There's no penalty. There's no penalty here, right? So that, and it's kind of, nobody's ever said, hey, this is why we do it to the best of my knowledge. But if you look, like Xander's driver was tested on Tuesday before the Open. So the entire approach isn't to sort of bust people and label them as cheaters, it's to prevent non-conforming clubs from ever making it into tournament play.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was reading a story this morning, and they were saying that, Xander originally thought that the USGA called him out, and who knows what the reality is and what actually happened. But now they're thinking that just people in the van that were part of seeing what was being measured might have leaked the information out, or just not leaked it out on purpose, but just talked about it, right?
Yeah,
but
I think
that's
it was
a bad
handled a
look.
little unprofessionally by the RNA to let that go, especially as Xander's the only one that we know of whose driver was.
Well, he was the only one
announced as-
named.
Right, he was
He was the only one named. And
right.
we talked about this before the show. I've been told by highly, highly credible sources that, while Xander is being labeled as the first guy to fail a CT test, more accurately, he's the first guy to be publicly named for failing a CT test. As I understand it, there were a handful of drivers on the PGA Tour last year that came back non-conforming. And so, they make adjustments. Again, the idea is to prevent these things from getting into competition, not to make a big deal out of guys using non-conforming clubs in competition.
Well,
so
here's the thing is if they're pushing the limit constantly, after you've hit, say, 200 driver shots, which is easily done for those pros, the limit's going to change again, and it's probably going to get even more.
Well, drivers, break in a couple
Exactly.
CT points. So there's all these different things that change. But if the machinery was consistent and you know that, right, you would just measure it before each tournament and you know where you're at,
Yeah.
And
That's
said,
true.
don't push it to 257 every week.
That's a really good point. But then, so Schauffele said he was talking about, well, if you're going to test a few, why don't you test the whole field? Well, for me, it's a random drug test. You get randomly selected. It's a random thing. Because if you did that, we wouldn't even see any golf because it's so many
Yeah, they'd
people.
be getting their drivers tested.
There's
the
no
whole week.
need to test everybody. You agree, Tony?
It's not point.
So-
There's no point.
typical field, 150 golfers, right, plus or minus, takes
10%.
10 minutes to test the driver, and that's if you're that's your cursory, hey, we're just going to do the basic test. But if it's close, then you've got to retest it and kind of go through all those motions. That can bring that test time up to 20 plus minutes. So, I mean, think about that. Even if everybody goes through in 10 minutes, 150 times 10 minutes. No, it's not practical.
It's 150
What these guys
minutes.
supposed to wait in line with their drivers outside the trailer? You're taking the clubs out of their hand at a time they're supposed to be using them.
And then you would say basically, all right, we'll get more people doing the CT testing, but then you've added a variable in there. So
let me
it's
bring
not
this
practical.
back full circle a little bit if I can try. And that is, okay, this now has happened. It's out in the public domain, right? Pandora's box is kind of open. What do we think is going to happen from here? Because if they keep testing like they are, it's going to keep happening. So what do we think needs to happen? Change or whatever in regards to making this a not shit show of what it was last week,
I think nothing's probably going to happen because that's typically what happens with the USGA and RNA. The preference, right, is to keep everything quiet and not leak out test results. And as long as they're able to do that, then in theory, the current system works, even if it doesn't. My feeling is that maybe this should be let's see what's being used in tournaments, right? Because if you test a driver on Tuesday and a guy wants to cheat, there's nothing that prevents him from getting a different head for the weekend, you know?
Well,
So my feeling is at least the top 10 guys, right? The guys who look like they're going to finish in the top 10, test those drivers as they come off the course, right? You have to keep it limited because you don't want to be on a Sunday afternoon and telling everybody, hey, you got to hang out here at wherever the tournament is. Don't catch your flight. Just chill here until we test all the drivers. But certainly I think top 10 should be tested and then a random sampling from,
that's
from
a tough
anybody
one,
who makes the cut. Because if you don't make the cut, you're not getting paid.
Well, DeChambeau had an idea
not to
today.
say who cares if you cheated, but there's no impact. So let's really see what's making it into competition, not what's being used on Tuesday. And I would suspect that in the overwhelming majority of cases, those are the same things, but there's no guarantee. So let's look at what's coming off the course on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, DeChambeau said we should test one driver basically, and that's whoever wins, we test your driver. And if I don't like this idea because
like the NASCAR.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's say you win the tournament and your driver's illegal, and then you got to dude, that's a media nightmare.
Yeah,
you
and
gotta
then
pick a
so
different winner.
I mean, it's top 10. If you think about that, look at the domino effect. If say number one wins, all right, then you drop out and you don't get paid that week. So then someone else bumps up, and then it's just like, oh, well, I'm a reject. I came second, but hey, I won. That's great news.
And once again, you're blaming it on the player at that point. You're going, the player takes all the heat for that, right? He plays in this tournament, wins.
Yeah.
You go over one CT point, and he didn't even know it. Is that his fault?
Yeah,
that
I think
one-
at the end of
yeah.
the day, it's both the RNA and the manufacturers have to step up and say, all right, let's pay a little bit more attention to what we're giving our tour pros because they're the face of our brands. Do you think Callaway is happy that Xander Schauffele's name got thrown out there like that?
I don't think
Not
there's
a good
anybody
one.
happy in this situation.
Right. So I mean, Callaway's got to look back and say, all right, let's double check. Let's double check our processes. Let's work with the RNA to make sure that we're using the same testing protocols to make sure that we're giving stuff that's legal to everybody.
Well, back in the day, it used to be completely different, right? They used to go into the tour van and say, all right, we're here to CT test, and then you pull out the secret drawer, and then here's all the conforming heads, and that's his driver, that's his driver.
Well,
It's came.
there's been rumors of that, but whether that's true or not doesn't matter anymore because that doesn't work either as a solution, you know?
But exactly, that's why they changed it to do random.
Well, yes, that and there were, I think a couple brands in their ear saying, hey, we've got it on pretty good authority that there are non-conforming clubs in play with intent, like knowingly non-conforming clubs in play. And
That's
we
a
need
good
to clean
point,
this
Tony.
stuff up. But it's funny, right? The entire conversation around non-conformance is we're talking about just driver CT, but the reality is if you're going to go after driver CT, right, if that's what you're going to test, are you also going to test wedge and iron grooves, right? Because there are rules that dictate conformance there. You're going to test the golf balls when they walk off the course.
Yeah,
Like,
where'd you go? Where'd you stop?
It's
Sorry.
such a can of worms here.
It is.
It's really difficult. And as far as the simple solution, and nobody likes this solution, but the real and actual solution is for manufacturers to design to the actual limit, the 239 number, and try and keep it close to 239 and not push the boundaries. Because again, tolerance exists for a reason. And this is just Callaway and unfortunately Xander Schauffele ending up on the wrong side of those reasons. But if Callaway was putting a driver that was designed to be 239 and was really close to 239 in their tour players' hands,
You never have an issue.
none of this conversation happens.
Well, I
But-
still love
yeah.
Xander.
At
He's
the
got
end,
a great swing.
at the end of the day, it's not the player's fault, in my opinion.
Yeah,
At the end of the
absolutely
day,
not.
By the way, did we get to your bet
Oh no.
from last week?
No.
Okay, so last week we had a bet between Harry and Sam for the Open.
it wasn't a bet. It was just a landslide. It was so easy.
So you picked. Who did you pick? Koepka.
Of course, Koepka.
And Sam picked
The
Rory.
hometown boy.
So not only did he not win and not beat Koepka, he didn't make the cut. So the bet was if you
Thanks,
lost.
Roy. If you're listening, thank you, Roy, for that. I appreciate it.
Hey, but he had a great second round.
That's worse than
He did
those
have a
guys
great
who
second
blame
round.
fantasy, who get pissed off about their fantasy team. Don't blame Rory. Come on now, you're better than that.
You know what? I blame the city of Portrush for putting so much damn pressure on him. All in the news. Couldn't handle it.
Hey, they got a homegrown boy to win anyway, so it was all good.
That's true.
The Tony Covey lookalike.
I'm
But
trying.
let's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
let's
yeah,
just
let's throw that
so Sam has to play me with infomercial clubs,
The whole bag.
the whole bag, and he has to use every club in that bag
So,
At least once.
at least.
Just one time. So hammer driver only has to be used once.
oh no!
That's up to the boss man right here. He set the rules.
What are you trying? That you only have to hit it once.
I only want to hit the hammer driver.
You
Look,
have to hit that 14 tee shot.
No.
He wants to kick my ass with infomercial.
And you've
clubs.
got to. I want to see every putt hit the bottom of the cup with that hammer putt.
I will use the putter.
No putts given.
Let me cut the driver shaft down at least.
No,
it's
the hammer.
Come on, man.
No,
that
there
driver
are,
sucks.
You cannot modify infomercial clubs.
Can I use the T-less?
Hell to the no, because that is actually a good club.
GX7.
It is an infomercial club, though.
It
I
is.
think it qualifies.
Is that?
But-
It's a modern infomercial club.
But I think the rule needs to be that any hole where Sam would typically hit driver, he's
Yes.
teeing off with that hammer. Pow!
All right, so
So
For
The way you looked around. Oh my gosh.
For the people that are unfortunately listening to this podcast and not seeing this picture of Sam on the screen,
Head over to our Instagram to see it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
All right,
anyway,
well, I will rightfully accept the challenge.
Well, you had no choice. You lost.
This will be our first vlog, which I hate that.
God bless. What ball am I using?
Polera.
What was that one?
No, it's got to be Warrior actually.
Warrior or what was that one?
The U line where you can
No.
hit a draw and hit a fade.
Tony, it's the same one that you.
Is it U line?
The same one with the vice balls. It's the
Monster?
infomercial ball.
Monster?
Not Monster.
Go golf.
I can't remember the name
It's
now.
It's got to be Warrior.
It was
Polera.
like an orange box, and people were like, "This is the greatest ball I've
Nitro?
ever hit."
Oh, Kick-X.
Kick-X, that's
There
what it
you
is.
go.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But now we know what ball that is. That's
So
a
can
good
I
ball.
just
You
use
could
a
go-
vice instead?
You could go premium. You could go ultra
Hold on.
premium version
on.
of the Vice ball and play the Dix Fire.
I
Or
don't-
not Dixon, excuse me.
Dixon?
Dixon Fireball.
There you go. The
Oh
ball
my
that was
God.
supposedly
They're
from
go-
recycled materials.
They're gonna be out at the golf tournament tomorrow that I'm playing in.
Who is? Kick-Ass?
Dixon. They're gonna be on one of the holes.
Get out of here.
That's how they sell their product, dude. They go to golf tournaments and you know
I thought Dixon was done.
the whole group
Let's
pays.
find that and cut it.
The whole group pays. Oh, I'm gonna get a sleeve of balls tomorrow because I pay $10. I'm gonna get a birdie on the hole. And
Not with that hammer.
Well, I'm not playing. Infomercial clubs aren't coming out tomorrow.
Oh man, we should
I'm
make
looking-
you play in an official
Dude,
tournament. with
I'm
the
looking
infomercial
forward.
club.
I'm looking forward to that sandpaper faced wedge.
That's called the pure spin.
Yeah,
Gary.
that's spin.
All right, so look, I'll play in the Norfolk City Amateur
Did have a sleeve.
with everything but the.
found 'em.
I could win the Norfolk City Am with the T-less as my driver.
What is
and
that,
the
Tony?
F2 wedges.
What is that? Polera? Oh yeah,
Send those over.
dude, he will hit every fairway with those though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'll only be 150 yards behind Harry.
That's true. But guess what?
Also, I mean, look at that.
You have what irons do you have to hit into the green?
I got the
That is
F2s.
extra distance and spin.
So Sam, let's just go through a what's in the bag for you, okay?
right,
And you're not going
WITB.
to talk. WITB infomercial.
All right.
We got the hammer.
Microphone is going away.
We have the hammer,
For irons, we have
the H2,
the F7.
F2.
F2 irons, I mean.
Get it right.
F2. Yeah.
For the wedges, he's got
We
a
have-
combo set.
We have
Hold on.
we have a selection of wedges for Samuel.
He goes pure
Very
spin.
rare infomercial combo set.
We have the spin wedge, the spin it.
He's got the alien.
Yes, the alien. That's my favorite one.
He's got the C3i, which is actually a good wedge. He's got the pure spin with the diamond face cutters on it.
Yeah.
And for the putter, he has probably the best putter ever made.
It's guaranteed to make every putt.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Technically non-conforming, but so is most of that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Well, the sandpaper wedge I don't really see the tour pros using that to spin it back.
Sam Xander Robinson.
So yeah, what is that? The hammer putter, or what is it?
Let's see. What do we got?
This is called the Zero Latitude X Factor Sports
Yeah, but what's the brand?
hammer
That's
putter.
hammer.
It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
hammer
That's what's like. It's a hammer putter.
I think it's an actual hammer.
Yeah, and you can't. You're supposed to flick your wrist. Flick your wrist.
Yeah, it came with a piece of paper that gave you directions on
Yeah.
how to use it, and it said you had to take your arms out of it. It's all wrists.
It's all
yeah.
the wrist, baby.
It's like it's a very flexible putter.
Do you see this, Tony? Okay, well, anyway.
What do I
I
get
am
if I
so
win?
glad I don't live in Virginia.
What do I get if I win the match?
You're not going to win.
I'm
Wow.
quitting. I'm
Have
quitting
some
golf.
faith
You know
in
what?
me.
You can also have a $50 Taco Bell gift card.
All right,
In fact,
deal.
maybe
Shit your pants.
I'll send some text messages.
I
Let's
want a
get No
Crunch
Putts
Wrap
Given
Supreme
sponsored
waiting
by
for me on the
Taco Bell.
18th green.
Whatever happens, you're gonna lose because you're either gonna win and shit your pants, or you're gonna lose.
Oh God.
Okay, so off of the bet and
Yeah.
on to the last parts of this. We have last week we had a contest for
We
no
did.
puts given for a British Open or the Open marker, right?
Yeah.
Who is the winner for that, Harry? You know?
What was it? Spinner. Let me get my phone.
All right, Matt, can we pull up the winner? That's the marker right there, if you can see it.
Oh, mama. Hey, I took that out to play. Shot 67.
You do that. At
The
pretty much
zipper.
every round.
It's a good marker.
Number one
zipper.
ball marker in golf.
Knowledge
There you go.
is power. So there he is. The zipper
Can you
has
tighten that up a little, Matt?
has won.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, so if you're listening, email me at harry.nordwell@mygolfspy.com and we can go from there and get your details.
I
And
think you're going to be getting a lot of emails from other people.
probably, hey, I need friends. It's fine.
I don't think your
They're
girlfriend's
going
going
to stay in the country.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the winner from last week, and that was based on giving reviews for the podcast, and we appreciate all the
nice.
reviews.
Very nice.
And
Yeah, I
up
guess
next is this week we would like to tell you we've got all this find it, cut it stuff going on. It's kind of crazy. So what we wanted to do too is allow all the My Golf Spy readers to participate in a quick contest of what you can see here. So there's 4 choices, and you can put these 4 logos on any golf ball you want through golfballs.com. And one of them is soft is slow, one of them is no putts given, one is a most wanted, and one is My Golf Spy logo. And just go onto our social channels and pick which one you think you like best. And then you are going to be able to, golfballs.com is going to make those available to any golfer that wants them. And we're also going to pick one person for 6 dozen of those.
Whew.
Yeah.
I'm going to enter in the contest.
The last couple things are find it, cut it. It just keeps on growing every week. And yep, I know. But
Good job, Tony. Way to go.
what I would suggest
One
is,
mediocre idea, man.
yeah, get out there and keep cutting them. There's so many people out there that are finding just what we found, and that is a lot of inconsistencies in the ball industry. And so keep on keeping on with find it, cut it, and hashtag that to us, tag us with that, and ones that are interesting, we might be reaching out to you. So anyway, on to the last thing is personal launch monitors. The average golfer right now is seeing all the businesses that they go into, whether it be PJ Superstore or, My Golf Spy that does testing. They're seeing all this launch monitor data. And while it's really cool, they don't have access to it, the average golfer. They're $20,000 for these units, So the average golfer is able to see all this stuff and go, yeah, well, when is that going to be available to me? And there have over the years been what we call personal launch monitors like this one you see on the screen from Rapsodo. There's other ones from Voice Caddy and
Garmin.
Garmin, FlightScope Mevo.
Flight scope.
Problem is, they're first kind of entry products, and they're not really that accurate so far, but they're getting better, I think. They're offering more options, and it's getting to the point where we wanted to see if it was time to do a buyer's guide, so we put it out there, and it was a pretty remarkable response from people. I knew it would be popular because they've been waiting for this, but I didn't know it would be that popular of something that people wanted us to test. This one so far, what do you think, Harry? What so far without testing? We're going to do a buyer's guide for it.
Yep.
Okay. But so far, not accuracy related because that's going to be found out in testing. But which one do you think is the just coolest so far?
Wow. Well, you have the Garmin, for instance, that gives you a GPS plus launch monitor built in, so you can flip-flop from one to the other.
Those ball speeds are super accurate to what we were getting on the Foresight.
But with accuracy and everything out the window,
We're just talking cool factor,
just
right?
cool factor.
Okay.
Those two are really cool. The Rapsodo, it has a shot tracer, so you can see your flight, and it gives you a
can
visual.
video your swing too.
And you can video your swing
wow.
to see where you're going wrong in your swing, which is in my swing a lot.
You're going to love that.
There's a lot of cool factors within those two alone, but again, there's a lot more models that we need to get out there and see.
This one looks really cool.
It is. I mean, it's badass. I mean, so one thing that I have seen just from playing around is these at the moment are not accurate inside. So that's why everything we're gonna do would be outside.
Tony, you know a lot about this stuff. So what do you think the biggest weakness of all these is so far or up to date?
The ability to properly capture spin axis and
Yes.
give you a
Yeah.
reliable spin number, right? If you don't know with within a reasonable range how much the ball is spinning, it's really hard to fully understand where it's going in the ball flight. And again, it's just sort of a limitation of where the technology is right now.
Yeah, so I think one thing that makes these personal launch monitors so popular is that you're like, oh man, I can get data on my own golf swing and my own clubs right there on the driving range. But at the end of the day, you need that spin number to be very accurate, right? To have accurate distances, you need to get the spin number.
Yeah, and my biggest problem with them is always this. Golf, one of the most important things in golf is knowing your distances, right? Yeah. And while these things look really cool and they're getting a lot better, if you are actually confusing me even more about my distances than not using this, these things are actually a hindrance, not a help, right?
Right.
That's why I think, though, they're moving to a lot of feature-rich stuff like the GPS, where you go, oh, well, if I can get 3 things in one, I'll screw around with the launch monitor part, keep using the GPS. This one, you can video your swing. It's also through the phone, which is great because a lot of the other ones are another additional device,
right,
where everybody's pretty much got a phone, So I think they're trying to pack them feature-rich right now so that you buy them and might use the launch monitor and go, yeah, this is cool. But I still think we might be not there yet.
Yeah, is something better than nothing, or are these things legit?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because if you look at sort of envision how the average golfer is going to use this thing, right? He's going to want to know his distances. Maybe he's working on some things, but we know guys are looking at distance, and maybe they're looking at launch angles and spin rates and trying to hit a target or something like that. And if you kind of think about what the use case is, these guys are gonna take this portable launch monitor, this personal launch monitor, take it to the range. They're gonna bang golf balls with it. Range balls, gonna get a whole bunch of data from those range balls, and they're gonna go out onto the course and play a ball that is nothing like what they were hitting. And so, how valuable is it? Well, again, we know the golf ball matters, and so if you're out banging a ball and relying on data from a ball that's not anything at all like the ball you actually play.
But the good thing about these is you can take them out on the course and just stick them behind you. If you're out,
that's a great point.
If you're out there on a Sunday evening and it's quiet, how about you hit 5 balls on your golf course and you're using a ball that you're going to play?
Yeah, drop 3 balls on the tee.
Yeah,
hit
why
3
everyone
drivers.
does that?
Yeah,
everyone does that. So it's not really that.
I don't think that's within the USGA rules, Harry.
Oh God.
Oh God. Let's not get down this path again.
No, definitely don't turn your speaker on either.
Hey, I'm going to do the both. I'm
the
just going to piss off everyone.
Oh, wait a sec. Did we forget that speaker testing results?
It's done. Yep. Coming out on Tuesday, I believe, Tony.
Monday.
First one on Monday with a speaker test.
There's something else coming on Tuesday.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we got hybrids coming out. Unfortunately, that hybrid will not be featured in the test, though.
Yeah. We tested just a little too soon.
But what hybrid is that, Tony?
That's a new.
It's I think we're allowed to mention it because the pictures are out. So we'll have full details on the TS2 and TS3 hybrids from Titleist on Tuesday.
All right, just a few reminders. No Putts Given is now a Friday show from this point forward. The podcast will be released every Friday, and the videos will be released on YouTube every Monday. So that has changed permanently. Other than that, for those of you that are just discovering us now through No Putts Given and don't know about the other things we do, and those that have asked, mygolfspy.com is what we are known for, where we're at. Go check it out. And we also have True Golf Fit. So it's the world's first personalized golf fitting engine. And if you want to know what the #1 driver for you is every year, go check that out. It will tell you exactly how much longer, straighter, and it's all guaranteed. And also, one last reminder, we have an exclusive offer for all My Golf Spy readers that ends today. For those listening on the podcast, which is Friday is the last day. And what is that for?
$40 off a rangefinder.
From?
Precision Pro.
Okay. So
you're welcome.
Let me do that. Let me do that for Harry. We have an exclusive offer for My Golf Spy readers, and it ends today, and that is for the Precision Pro
NX7 HD Pro.
Slope.
Yep.
$40 off, and it ends today. So if you're interested in a new rangefinder, they won Best Value last year, and their customer service is
phenomenal.
Top notch. So
they'll give you batteries, right?
Free batteries for life.
Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't matter your rangefinder either. They just give you free batteries.
Doesn't matter if you got a Bushnell
Batteries.
or a Nikon or whatever. They'll send you a free battery.
Let's go straight in my basket.
Oh my God. All right. Until next week, episode 11-0. Let us know what you liked, what you don't like. Review the podcast if you don't mind. We enjoy those and appreciate them. And we out.
Let's get out.